Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. Today I want to talk about something a little different. I want to talk about a book that I just enjoyed, really enjoyed, by Trevor Noah, Born a Crime. Born a Crime, it's called. Trevor Noah is the South African comedian, half black, half white, who is famous for being on The Daily Show, replacing Jon Stewart on The Daily Show in 2015, I think. And if you don't watch The Daily Show, it's like a comedy news. So, he goes over the news, the global news, financial stuff and just political stuff and pretty much anything of global importance. But they deliver it with a lot of humor, which is great. And yeah, Trevor Noah's hilarious. He does stand-up comedy, but this book, I didn't know he was also an author. But of course, I loved it. I got it on audible.com. They do it. I love audible.com. I'm not getting anything for saying this, but I use it every day almost. I download books. I get one token a month for being an Audible member, and you spend $15 Canadian on one token, so you get one book a month with that token. Or you can, if you're a member, you get deals, which I check every day. And so sometimes there's free books, and sometimes there's books for like $3. This book was $3, and it was awesome. It's about 9 hours long or something. So it's probably a 200, 300 page book, maybe 400 if you had the physical book. It's really hilarious. It was powerful. It's a book about Trevor Noah's life. Born a Crime, it's called. Trevor Noah grew up in South Africa during apartheid, and after apartheid, I guess he was 6, 7, 8 years old when apartheid officially stopped. But as you know, if you know about apartheid, or even if you just live in America or Canada, you've experienced, racism or, separation that can come within a community over things like race or, religious background. Prejudice doesn't just stop when rules say that it ought to stop. Um, so apartheid ended officially, but segregation takes time to stop and takes years for minds and people to change. And being an Aboriginal person, I think I would argue that in Canada we still have racism, but there's a different shade of it, and it's less probably dark than it ever would have been in the historical context of Canada. And I want to be clear that I don't think oppression is rampant in my life. I don't feel oppressed or held down because of my color, but certainly I have experienced racism and, blatant, outright racism, people calling me racist names because of my color, people disliking me because I'm Aboriginal or making judgments about who I am because of my color. And so that background of my life, and again, I wouldn't say that I've experienced anything like apartheid, anything like, nothing that's held me back. But I did grow up with a fully Aboriginal father who told me about, having to fight white kids growing up because they would make fun of, him being Indian and what that meant to them. And so while my generation is probably mostly free of that curse, I think it's only a generation before, only a generation or two ago, where we were literally taking Indian kids, Aboriginal kids away from their parents to put them into residential schools and really segregating, even here in Canada. And so I felt like I understood a little bit, not fully, but a little bit of what this author had experienced in South Africa. And again, only a little bit, because I really feel apartheid. This man grew up during some part of apartheid, and wow, it sounds absolutely miserable. He describes Soweto and the different districts of South Africa and how they were designed, and these people were taken from their homes and given dirt plots to build new places to live in, and they were given nothing but like a little bit of corrugated metal and some, I guess, cheap building materials, and just left to their own devices. It sounds absolutely insane. But this book isn't I'm making it sound as though it's real political statement about racism, and it has some components of that, and he touches on that because, of course, he grew up in such a challenging, racist, let's say, divided place in time. But really, it's an amazing story about a young man coming up out of poverty, and through the love of family, through the love of a mother who just seems like a brilliant light, woman of faith in Christ, and just joy, and she's constantly referred to as having the strength to overcome pretty much anything that's put in her life. And it's really, it's encouraging, it's lovely, it's like it's a love story of a young man, loving his mother and saying, like, wow, this woman did so much for me and overcame so much. And also at the same time, you see this young man come up out of just dirt poverty, literally starving at times, not being able to work because his color separated him from the ability to seek employment in some instances and in some places. And then, actually, interestingly enough, the way that color, being half black, half white, will separate you from the full black people and the full white people, and the strangeness of that. And yeah, so it was really, I would describe it as powerful and evocative and thoughtful and hilarious and just captivating. I couldn't put it down. I loved it. If any of these topics or what I'm talking about here sounds interesting, I really recommend you check it out. You can get it on audible.com, and you can listen to the audio file. It's great. I love it because you can listen on the bus while you're commuting to work or in the car, and get through a really great book in time, during time of your day where you might not otherwise be able to do certain things. It can be challenging to read a paper book when there's a bunch of noise around you on a bus or in a train. But if you plug your headphones in, and you kind of tune things out, you can really get into an amazing story. And this is an amazing story. One of the points that made me really want to talk about it was that yesterday I was listening to the book, and he talks about this girl that he loved growing up, or that he thought was the most beautiful woman in the world. And he's a young 13, 14-year-old. He's never had a girlfriend at this point. He's captivated by her. He loves her. He really feels that she's the most beautiful woman in the world. And yet he doesn't think of himself as being as being able to deserve her appreciation and affection. And so they're great friends, and they spend every day together, and they talk on the phone for hours, and they get along like two peas in a pod. But he just doesn't feel like he could deserve her, and so he never asks her out until one day when he realizes that she has moved and he's never going to see her again. And he learns in the same moment that she also loved him, or let's not say love, but she really had a crush on him. And he feels regret over having not had the courage to ask her. And I thought this point is why I wanted to talk about this book. It's such a striking and amazing point. He says, and I really believe this, before this book, and because of my daughter Lumina and what we went through, with her diagnosis, prenatal fear about, losing her in utero, and then fear about losing her after the pregnancy. I've known this type of what he describes here as, he says, I never regretted anything that I did, but I do regret not having done certain things. And he's talking about not asking that girl out. I really identify with that point and that argument with my daughter Lumina, who's, as you know, if you follow my channel, has terminal illness. And we considered abortion before she was born because of the concerns the doctors raised around the pain and suffering that she would experience in life. We very seriously considered abortion because we thought it would be better for her to not have to deal with those pains and suffering. And wow, I can't believe how close we were, because looking back on it, she's got this amazing life. She's alive now. She's going to be 3 in January. She has a difficult life in many respects, and she's not typical, but she's so beautiful and perfect. And I would say to anybody, I've learned from that what he said in his book, that you only really regret what you don't try at. Like if you want that job and you're too scared to try, or if you want to start working out and get muscles and lose fat, but you're too scared, what if I suck at it? What if I can't do it? What if I try and then I fail? I think that fear is one thing, that burden that we carry and that we let drive us or prevent us from being driven. So you're too terrified about the thought of failure, and you end up becoming stagnant. And so you don't go for that promotion. You don't ask out that girl. You don't, invite that challenge in your life, believing in yourself that you could overcome it if you wanted. And I think that fear is it's just the devil. And I would say, if you're listening at this point, guys, this book is a beautiful story of overcoming that type of adversity and saying to yourself, like, yeah, I might fail, but I'm going to try. And I think that's such a beautiful lesson. So I really encourage you to check out this book by Trevor Noah. It's called Born a Crime. And he's talking in the name about how being during Apartheid South Africa, being born half black, half white was a crime. And yet it's just a story of overcoming. And I really think that's a beautiful message, because one of the things I live by, and this will be my last point on this, guys. One of the things I live by, and my wife and I talk about a lot, we say, if you don't ask the question, the answer is no. But if you do ask the question, then the answer is maybe. And what that means to me is, look, you're going to have things in your life that you shoot for or you don't, and you want it. But if you don't take the shot, you're going to miss it. It's like Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I love that, man. I love it because it's so true. And I know if you're listening to this, I know you have adversity in your life that tells you and holds you back, tells you can't and holds you back. It's this little narrative in your mind, and it'll say to you, you're not capable of doing that thing you really want to do. Lose weight, get the girl, get the guy, get the job, get the education. You're not capable. You're not strong enough, smart enough, good looking enough. And it's this narrative we all struggle with. But we need to overcome that. And I believe it's by faith with God that we have the strength to overcome that. But frankly, it starts in here too. It's like I believe in myself, and I the strength of me is greater than I know. And I love that, guys. And I hope that's a hopeful message for you today. I hope that's an encouragement for you today. And again, really, I strongly recommend checking out this book. I loved it. I couldn't put it down. And I gave it 5 out of 5. Thank you so much, guys, for your time and attention. I hope you're having an awesome, awesome day. Please like and subscribe. Find me on steemit.com I do daily posts there. Sometimes I miss my YouTube content for daily creation, but I'm always on Steemit, posting every single day about my life, my family, my finances, my faith. Check me out, guys. Have an awesome day. God bless you. Take care.